Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Real Talk. I'm Brendan Bardick, and my guest today is Meg Everett, who is going to be talking to us about the entire world of being an elite director of operations. So, Meg, we're so excited to have you. Meg, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me today. I'm really excited to talk with you. So my name is Meg Everett, and I am the Director of Operations for the Bardick Group. I have been with the Bardick Group at Keller Williams for 5 years now, and was introduced to Brendan through a friend of a friend, and have never looked back. Came from the finance world and was given this amazing opportunity. And I'm just really excited to be here and grow, and it's been pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, it's excellent. So talk to me a little bit about, I think what most of our listeners want to really dive into is understanding how the back office works for a high producing real estate team, or just basically, any team that's out there, or even if it was an individual. I know you've seen executive assistants, you mastermind with a lot of people. So I think the main thing they want to know is, how does it all work, right? So tell us a little bit about the team structure. How many agents? How is it structured? TCs, all that stuff. What does it look like?
Yeah, so we have about 15 agents. And then on the back end side, we have an inside sales agent. And then we have 3 operations staff. So myself, we have a director of marketing, and then a transaction coordinator as well. And so what that looks like is I am here doing, mainly the systems, the processes, the recruiting and hiring, and the accounting piece. Our transaction coordinator, she is the one who handles everything from, an agent takes a listing until when it closes. So works with the client, works with the agent, works with every single person to make it as smooth of a transaction as possible, and to make it the best client experience that we can provide. That is to our agent as well as to our actual clients who are working with our team.
Gotcha.
And then
So it's about, sorry to cut you off there, but
no, you're good.
so basically it's about, 18-ish people, sounds like.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So with that size of operation, so I guess talk to me a little bit about, when we say operations, you were kind of going through a number of those different categories there. So who handles the marketing?
So our director of marketing is the one who handles all of our marketing.
Okay, so there's a single person that does all the marketing. So in your role, it basically is accounting, day-to-day kind of payroll, those types of things. So do you guys have a bookkeeper, or who does the actual P&Ls and finances?
Yes, that's a great question. We do use an outside company to do our P&L, and to go through all of those on a daily basis and really be the one who's tracking all the expenses. I then look at it on a daily basis too, to make sure that, again, we're in line with our expenses, we're in line with our budget, and they just do kind of just the P&L on a monthly standpoint.
Okay, excellent. And then as far as taking care of the payroll, or what company are you using? How do you have that set up? Are you using a company? What does that all look like?
Yeah, so we use a company, we use Adp Payroll. They've been great. It makes it really, really seamless. I, again, work with, when someone gets hired, they fill out paperwork, we put them in. I have to run it every 2 weeks, make sure that they're paid on time, and put everything in there. But other than that, they help file the taxes and everything on the back end to make it really easy.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And now, so when we're looking at the overall structure and looking at kind of your day to day, what do you feel is your main, I guess, responsibility?
My main responsibility would be hiring and recruiting talent into our organization.
Okay. All right. So hiring and recruiting talent into the organization. So that sounds great, right? But that's got to be a daunting task, I'm sure. So give us a kind of understanding, didn't wake up one day and all of a sudden you felt comfortable with doing interviews and comfortable with recruiting and hiring. So tell me a little bit about how did that process start? How did you get comfortable with it? Take me through where it started and what it looks like now. And if you could go back, right, to the first person you interviewed or first person you hired, what have you learned, and what are maybe some tips you could give some of our listeners on the recruiting and hiring talented people process?
Yeah, there are so many tips I wish I could have told myself 5 years ago. I think where it started from is there wasn't a system in place when it first started. I just kind of was, flying by the seat of my pants, just hopefully, wishing that someone applied with, a post I put on, Indeed or somewhere random. And there was not really a system. It was, meeting in person. I mean, the time it used to take me to hire someone was probably months long.
Right.
Whereas now we can have someone really within the organization within 2 to 3 weeks at most. And I
So
think
take me through. So how do you find them? Let's start at the beginning of the channel. So I want to break this into two different categories. One, I think there's agents, and then the second would be for internal staff and or ISA. So let's start with the agent piece. So what are the different ways that you receive applicants?
Yeah. So one of our main ones, and what you hear a lot of people talk about, is Indeed. And
Okay.
so where we start is, again, creating a great job post. That's the most talented part. So what is going to get agents who want to join our organization? And we really just look at what makes us unique. And so identifying that and putting it out there, try to get, a catchy title so they aren't just scrolling by. Just putting real estate agent, there's hundreds of those out there. So we want to have something that's more unique. Like a brand new agent can come make $100,000 in their first year in real estate with us. So we try to grab them in that main title. So Indeed's a really just simple one to get applicants in. We then want to get on to, again, Craigslist. You can get some great people as well. That sounds random. Other things like LinkedIn is huge, as well as Facebook
Right,
and
because you would
Instagram.
think who would ever be on Craigslist looking to possibly become a real estate agent. So talk to me a little bit. So in the past, you've had agents that you've hired from a Craigslist posting, correct? That's what you just said.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
and
Absolutely.
that produced.
That did produce. Some of our actually
Yeah.
top people have come from Craigslist. You
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
surprised.
So you just put that under the career opportunity, and then the tagline is kind of, hey, want to make $100,000 your first year. Do you kind of structure the ad more so? Why would I want to join your organization? I guess so. What's the value prop to? Because I think, right, that's what comes out of those ads is you're kind of
Yep.
saying, here's what you want to be a part of. So what's the value proposition if I want to join the Bardic group at Keller Williams Realty?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many that I can go down. I think a lot of it is, an easy way to get new people is that looking for a career in real estate. A lot of people never want to take that leap. And so that's just a simple way that we'll try to catch people. And our value proposition really is, I mean, you can be plug and play in the best way possible. Our agents can. So you come here, you have a website, you have a system, you can learn the entire transaction, you get a lead process that converts leads better than most organizations. So there's just so many things we offer, and income is a big piece of it for agents. They want to get into this, have a limitless income, and we really have the opportunity that we can offer that to them through our system and back-end process. So we try to summarize that. It seems like a lot in a few different ways to get agents who are interested in our organization.
Gotcha. Okay. So then also with, I guess, attracting that kind of talent. So it sounds like you set a pretty wide net, it sounds like.
Yes.
And then, so you said Indeed, Craigslist, LinkedIn. Are you getting anyone to come straight to you through your website or running any kind of advertising to get them to their website at this time?
Yeah, absolutely. That's been a really huge piece is we have an entire landing page dedicated to joining our organization. So
Gotcha.
it just tells about our team, and they can fill out an inquiry right there that gets emailed to me directly. And then within minutes, I'm reaching back out to that person to say, let's schedule a time to call and have a conversation.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now you cast this wide net for agents, then you start receiving applicants. What's, I guess, kind of the first piece of what you do? Because I'm sure you probably get a lot of interested people. So what's the filter? What happens next?
Yeah, this is we've spent a lot of time perfecting. And I think the most common thing and the easiest thing is to have a quick 15-minute phone call. And how I do that when you're fielding so many applicants is I use a system called Calendly, and it links to my calendar. And I have certain time blocks every single day that I'm focused on having those inbound conversations with people. And it's a simple 15-minute phone call. And I just try to generate, hey, what exactly are you looking for? Why are you looking to get into real estate? What are you looking for with your next position? And you hear everything in their scope. And I'm just trying to identify, will their goals align with what we are trying to accomplish as an organization? And will they be a good fit for our team?
Excellent.
And
So
yeah,
then so after the phone interview, you either determine from that, and that's about 10-15 minute conversation,
10-15 minutes. And
10 to
sometimes it
15
could
minutes.
be 5. Yeah.
Yeah, depending. So from there, then if they make it through that first, so it sounds like, 100 or so applicants, then you kind of weed it down to, well, is there anything you do before the phone interview, or is it just the phone interview is the first step?
So if we're hiring an operations personnel, I will send them the disc profile from Tony Robbins first.
Okay, so it's a link from TonyRobbins.com or Tony Robbins' website, and they
Yeah.
fill out a disc profile, and that's just some sort of personality. For the people that don't know what that is, right? It's a personality assessment that they take online that basically just gives you a digital snapshot of their strength, not to say their strengths, their personality type, right?
Yeah,
Their
their personality
personality.
type.
So what are you looking for in an agent's disc?
In an agent's disc, I'm looking for, there's different personality types. So I'm looking for someone who is, a D personality. So they're that driver, or an I personality. So they're an influencer. So really,
Gotcha.
being out there and wanting to chat with people. So really, sociable personality types.
Right. Because I think people would be concerned and they would say, well, I don't really want, a D type personality because, then maybe they'll try to, leave me or what have you. But I think, right, you're wanting that because you need them to be motivated, right? You
Yeah.
need them to be motivated. And then the I is for them to be able to talk, I would assume,
Yeah,
right? Or be very
absolutely.
outgoing, right?
Yes.
It's at times for that piece. Okay. And then what are you looking for, let's say, a transaction manager?
Yes, the transaction manager, I want to be more in the S and the C type of profile. So spelling out disc. Those are again more systems oriented, more detail oriented, and going to be more focused on the processes and very cautious personalities. And that's really what we prefer for someone who's coming in and working on the back end side of our system.
Excellent. Okay. So now they get through that process, then the next piece happens. What happens from there after the phone interview? If you don't like them, then you just say not like them. If you don't feel that they're the right fit, you just say, hey, you know what, you're not the right fit. But do you do anything else with them at that point if they're not the right fit for your team?
Yeah, there's been a lot of people I've talked to that I think are amazing people, and I just want to identify talent, but they might not be talent that is going to work for us because maybe they want to run their own organization. Maybe they want to open a brokerage. So I will either refer them to Keller Williams as, hey, this person would be a great individual agent, or people will let me know we're looking for a transaction coordinator or an assistant, and here's what we're looking for in a person. And they may be a lot better fit for another team or another individual here that I will also then send them to.
Yeah,
Just because
I
they're
think.
not, yeah, a good person doesn't mean they're just not the right person for us, doesn't mean they're not a great person.
Yeah, and I think that's a fascinating piece of it that probably a lot of listeners overlook is, hey, look, we can, whether they're the right fit or not, it's all about they're going to go somewhere. Might not just be us. And then from that, I think with the Keller system, right? And I know other brokerages have different types of downline systems. You still get a benefit because they will end up in your downline for you referring them to the team leader or whatever it works. So there's another revenue stream for you, even if it's not the right fit for your team. So that's,
Exactly. And
yeah.
that's been monumental. Again, just same thing for your personal income. It's another way to, again, generate income for yourself and get good people that you can still align with in business.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So then that's if they're not the right fit. Now they're the right fit. I have the interview. What happens next?
Yeah, so if they're the right fit, I will almost immediately say what next steps are. I want to leave every conversation stating when they'll expect to hear from me and what next steps will look like to make sure that we're always on the same page. And I send them then the Keller personality system. So we have a great personality system provided from Keller Williams that they fill out. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour that they complete. And it looks at their personality types, and it matches them within positions in our organization. So it looks at their strengths, it looks at how their communication style is, what their decision making is like, and it really just identifies who they are as a person. And once they complete that, I then will review the results and reach back out to schedule an interview with them in person. And we want to go over and make sure that the results are actually accurate to who they are as a person.
Gotcha. And so now you've taken the assessment, then they come in for an in-person interview, or I guess during these COVID times, how have you adapted during the COVID situation with interviewing?
Yeah, so traditionally it was in person, and now I do it via Zoom. It's been a really simple way. It's actually very interesting and unique dynamic now. You kind of see where they live or what their life is like, kind of
Yeah,
outside of being in the office.
yeah. I bet you've seen some weird stuff. What's some of the weird things that you've seen on these Zoom interviews? Anything that stands out?
Yeah, I guess from like an interviewing standpoint, I think try to be in like a quiet setting. I've seen people like in their cars who can't get cell phone service, and maybe it just is a weird situation. There's a lot going on in the background, or they're outside and people are walking by. It's really busy. It just makes it very hard to concentrate on, well, number one, me talking to them, but also them having a conversation back. You kind of get in some weird situations.
Yeah. The first interview happens. Let's just pretend that this is non-COVID. They
Yeah.
walk into the office. You take me through it. Just and yeah. So what's that conversation look like? What are you hoping to accomplish from that interview?
Yeah, I want to accomplish number one is I want to know as much about this person as possible. I will ask traditional interview questions at the end of it, which I can go through, but it's to get to know them. That it's really try to figure out who they are as a person, how they handle situations, what has been their past experience, because that's the only thing I can do to make sure they will be a right fit here. Again,
Gotcha.
they're great people, but if they, say they are dealt with a situation that they're uncomfortable with, and they say the first thing they're going to do is go and confront the person and be super assertive. Well, if I'm looking for, an operations staff who's supposed to be supporting the agent, that's maybe not the best way I want them to be handling the situation. So I'm trying to more identify and pull things out of them for that. That's going to be useful for our organization and for the role.
Yeah, and so I think that's the big piece. Is there any, when you're looking at that, is there anything during that first interview that's either a yes or a no? Is there flat out things that you're just like, hey, they say this, they're out of here, or is it really just trying to get to see who they are?
Yeah, I think it's seeing who they are and seeing, again, it's a cultural fit. That's really, really important to us, is protecting that culture of our company. And so I think what things that are great are, I want someone who's solutions oriented, especially with someone who's on the operations staff. And so, if I think if they indicate things like, well, I just, I'll then just go ask someone. If I don't know the answer, it's outside of my scope of work. Unfortunately, in the real estate industry, the scope of work is the entire business, and there's really unique situations, and they need to be the ones supporting the rainmaker and the other agents and helping them find other solutions.
Problem
And
solvers.
exactly, like
Yeah.
they have to be able to solve problems. So someone who expresses that they're not going to maybe go to Google right away, and or reach out to a resource that's not constantly asking, constantly, I like question asks, but someone who is just consistently like, well, I didn't know the answer. It's not going to be probably a great fit for our organization.
Gotcha. And I think a lot of people, especially a lot of people I coach and a lot of people I work with, they're always worried about the interview questions and what to ask and all of these things. But it sounds like that's not the whole point. It's just to find out, can they work independently? Can they solve problems?
Yeah.
and if they're a cultural fit is what I'm hearing you say. So then
Yeah.
after the first interview, how do you end it with them and what happens next?
Definitely. And I think the biggest piece to touch on your last question too is I want to figure out exactly who they are, because people can put on a great interview and answer the best questions, but I want to know who they are as a person. So some of my favorite questions that we've said are like, what is the most interesting thing about you that's not on your resume? You learn a lot about a person asking that, and how they act uniquely. So I want to know truly who they are as a person. And how I in that is I will ask some questions as well, and be goal oriented. Like, where do you see yourself within the organization? Like, how would you look back and know that we had success if you're here in a year? Those are really important to me. So I'd really end after reviewing the personality profile on that note. And then from
So
there,
let's
I let
so
them
let's
know.
let's just role play that. So I'm sitting
Yeah.
there, I'm nervous, I'm interviewing with you. We finished the interview. I'm like, hey Meg, great. So am I hired?
Mhm. Yeah. No, actually, so what we do with every single applicant is we have a bunch of applicants who are, working with trying to get this position as well. So what we'll do is we actually review this with a panel of our company. And then from there, I will reach back out, touch base with you about next steps. And we would have a second round interview with our leadership team.
Okay, so after the first interview round, then I go, okay, great. I go home. Here's some probably questions that I think a lot of people want to know is, so if I'm sitting there and I'm an agent, I'm going to ask, so what does it pay? What's the splits? Does that come up in those interviews? I'm sure. I mean, I would assume so, correct?
It definitely does. And I
Okay.
think being transparent is most important. So
Yeah.
I will then explain it, but I also have at that point prepared a sheet of paper, and I like a packet basically that explains every single situation and scenario, because I don't want to have someone come in and then feel like, wait, you told me something completely different in the interview.
Hmm.
I thought it was just 50% that you were getting, and that was it. So I
Right.
want to be as transparent as possible. So I have it written down as well for them to take home and review.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's probably a pretty common question. So
Yeah.
you just tell them exactly what it is. You say, here you
Hmm.
go. There's a packet, right, that you're saying they receive with information that breaks it all down.
Yeah.
Um, then I'm sure another question that would come up. So what does a normal day look like? What is
Yeah.
your
So
guys' expectation of me as an agent?
completely. So we have something we call a top producer schedule. And what that looks like is that you will be coming to the office at 7:30 in the morning, preparing your scripts, role playing, setting your day out, getting very intentional, looking at your schedule. And starting at 8 o'clock, you're on the phone calling expired listings and
Gotcha.
calling
So
for
there's a
sale by
so there's a
owners.
full schedule that
Full
they
schedule.
all right. So you take them through the schedule. So cool. I get that. Then on your team and in your structure, am I able to buy and sell or work with buyers and sellers, or am I only a buyer's agent? Am I only a listing agent? What am I allowed? What how does that look?
Yeah, we allow our agents to work with both buyers and sellers. I think that is a great question. And people do ask that because they're really concerned. If my mom wants to sell a house and I'm just getting started, I was just told I was able to buy it, like buy properties of people, and I really would want to help my mom sell.
Right.
We want to prepare them to be a well-rounded agent in every single scope. So they are allowed to work with both listings and buyers.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm allowed to work both listings and buyers. You understand the whole entire pay structure, which makes sense. So I've got that handout. Any other
Yeah.
random questions that you hear a lot that it would help other people in the episodes, or excuse me, other listeners that are listening to the episode when they're doing the interview? Any other questions that you hear quite a bit?
Yeah, I love questions that they ask about things that you like about the company. So, why are you a part of this organization is always excellent. It makes them seem like they're really interested and engaged, and questions that make it seem like they have really taken a lot of time to learn who you are as a company. The challenging questions I think are a lot more fun, to be honest with you, when you're getting interviewed, because they're really just more authentic that way.
Right. Excellent. So then they leave with the expectation that they'll either hear from you one way or the other.
They will hear from me one way or another. And I
Okay.
set the timeline. So if I interview them on Monday, I state you will hear from me on Friday if we're moving forward or not at that point in time. And
Perfect.
I make sure to keep that deadline. I can always, say you love the person and want them to start next week. I can call them on Wednesday and say, you were excellent. I'd love for you to come back in. to then make a decision by Friday. So I always want to make sure I'm stating next steps so they feel clear. And yeah, they're not moving on to, if they're a talented person, they're not then getting poached by different people. They know exactly when they're going to hear from me, so that they're keeping that open.
Gotcha. So then I come back for my, so you say yes, you call them back up and you say, hey, we reviewed everything, thought about everything, and now I want you to come back in for a second interview. Great. What happens in that second interview and what are you looking for?
Yeah, so we continue to follow the Keller personality assessment process, and we do a life history. And so what that looks like is it's a more detailed version of your resume. It's really the personal stuff behind your resume,
So let's
starting from
let's
when
let's
you
just
went.
let's just role play it for a
Yeah,
second. So I'm sitting there and I'm
yep,
nervous and I'm like, oh my God, my second interview and all this.
yeah.
So paint the picture for me. Am I you're doing this on a piece of paper? What does this look like when you say life history? So take me through and just act like I'm that person. So let's just and we'll kind of
Great
fast
question.
forward through it. But
Yeah.
so go.
So I would have a whiteboard in front of me, a whiteboard, an easel, anything I'm writing on, and I'm going to draw. I'm going to write at the top life history. I'm going to draw a line vertically down the center of a page, and I'm going to say, this is to get to know you a little bit better. So I'd love to start with your major life event. So this could be when you graduated college. This maybe is your first job. So let's start back, looking. So again, it depends on the age of the person
Well,
and their
let's
experience.
just say with me. So yeah, I joined the Army when I was 17.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I would love to know what are some, experiences and lessons that you learned during your time in the military.
Perfect. Okay, so then you kind of take them through event by event and then ask more probing questions to get kind of an idea, I guess, of who they are. And
Yeah,
when you get through all the way, so do you go from their first event and then, to basically sitting in
current
front,
day.
okay, current day. And
Yeah,
is there anything that you're looking for in that sheet in that, when you're looking at the whiteboard, what are
yeah.
you, is there any, I guess, red flags or what am I looking for there?
I really like to know that someone maybe overcame a challenge at some point in their life. Maybe it was a big decision that they went through, and I want to then know why they did that, to try to find out, okay, do they have the so the word I'm looking for, but like, yeah, do they have the will to
Grit.
keep going and keep trying? Do they have the grit? Were they knocked down at some point and they got back up on their feet and then succeeded? I love people who have played sports before. That just shows that they're great at teamwork. So I really am looking for things that they overcame and were able to get them to where they're sitting today.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So then we finish that section. What else happens in that second interview, or is that all?
No, that then we after we finish the life history, I obviously thank them for sharing, because this can be really, really personal. Maybe someone's family member has passed away, maybe they had something in their entire life, so it could be a really personal thing. So I want to thank them for sharing and let them know that this is like a safe place that they're able to talk about this with me.
Yeah,
And then
I bet you've heard some insane, like give us an
yeah,
example. I mean, obviously, we want to protect everybody's personal
yeah.
things, but give us an idea of what are some of the things you've heard?
Yeah, I mean, people have gone through divorces and they don't then have a relationship with their children, and that's really, really challenging. Or they maybe, I've also heard, yeah, people who have lost loved ones, that's really challenging and feel like they have to then re-identify themselves as a person. And I think that's very, very hard to share, especially in an interview setting, because they're nervous anyway. So
Yeah.
there's been a lot of personal things.
Yeah, they gotta almost be putting their soul out there, right? And
They
you're
are.
there to make sure that they
Yeah,
keep it together, but it is personal, right?
it is.
You're gonna be spending more time with these people than probably their own family, and so you've got to know who it is. I think
Hmm.
it's almost kind of like dating in a way, right? It's kind
It
of like
is.
it's like we got to get to know you and make sure that yeah, we want to have a serious relationship with you because that's what it is, right? Is it's a serious relationship.
Yeah. Do you want to get
Um,
engaged and married to this person? Because that's what
Totally.
it's a partnership moving forward.
Yeah. So, okay. Then, and I know we kind of just jumped right into recruiting, but I know it was on the top of my paper, on my notes here, because it's what I get asked the most, right? People
Yeah.
are always very, very curious about how do you do this? How do you select talent? How do you do all of it? So, we're going to come back to a lot of other things, but I did just want to make sure that we covered this topic because it is so valuable. So, take
It
me
is.
through,
It's
then you said,
challenging.
Yeah. So then there's one more. You said, so what happens next? I got my life history.
Yeah.
So far, I've done, to even get to this point, I've done a disc profile. I've done a
Yes.
phone interview. I've done a Keller personality assessment.
And
I've
a review of that.
and then a review or a verification of that. And then I'm done with that first part. I've now come back for the second interview. I'm sitting in a room, nervous, biting my nails, and now you're taking me through and ripping my soul out and telling me that what's my life history, and I'm sharing all my intimate secrets with you. And
Yep.
now I do what next?
And now we're going to go through a motivational interview.
Okay.
So I am going to talk through where, my question is, if everything is perfect in 3 years, we're sitting in this room and you look back and say, oh my God, the past 3 years have been amazing. And I'm going to then talk through every single part of their life. So we know job and money are two main quadrants. That person then can pick the other two things that are important to them. A lot of
So
people go
is this
into,
also on a whiteboard? Is that how,
yeah, this is also
or
on a
what does this
whiteboard.
look like? So I'm sitting
Yeah.
there in the chair. You're standing up at a whiteboard, and tell me so the whiteboard looks like what, if you had to just paint a picture for us
Yeah.
visually,
I'm drawing basically like a grid across the middle of the whiteboard.
like a big
And
plus
I'm going to
sign.
have a big plus sign.
Okay.
And I'm going to have the word job written in the upper left-hand one,
Okay.
and money written in the upper right-hand one.
Okay. And then
They
you're
then can
saying to
fill
me,
out the bottom two.
so okay, so they get to pick out the bottom two. So we're sitting here,
Yeah.
and we'll just pretend role play this out.
Yeah.
So job and career. So I'm sitting there in the interview. What do you mean by job? And what do you mean? Yeah, take me through that.
Yeah. So I say, basically, we know that job and money are two of the most important dimensions of life. If you had to pick two other dimensions of your world that are most important to you, what would those be?
So I'm going to say travel and fitness. Let's just go with that.
Perfect. So I will
Okay.
write travel in the lower left-hand box and fitness in the lower right-hand box.
What is it, the ones that you hear the most of?
I hear a lot of relationships.
Yep.
And then personal growth is also a big one, or growth being another one.
Excellent. What's the weirdest one you've heard?
Oh man, the weirdest one I've heard was probably, that's a hard one. I have to be honest with you. I think,
yeah, but it's probably because I would imagine
people make it kind of not selfish, I guess, but it would be like, it just is like a one word that you can't really then elaborate on, and that makes it just difficult. You can't really then go a lot further. Like travel is a hard one, because what does travel mean? Like what fulfillment are you getting out of travel? So it's just digging into what their fulfillment might look like.
So the thought process is, I'm getting this this visual whiteboard or easel or whatever it is of, again, and we probably went a little fast on if everything was awesome in 3 years, or everything was perfect, or whatever you want to say, everything was great in 3 years. We're sitting here and we're celebrating what you've accomplished over this 3-year period in each one of these 4 categories.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So role playing this out, you say to me, take me through just the job and the money. I think we get the other ones. So
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this whiteboard and I'm like, job. Okay. And then I guess help. What if they just sit there and they go, oh.
You'd be surprised. A lot of people actually that you see is, which is honestly the most fascinating part, is they don't know exactly what their job looks like. A lot of times they have, well, I want to help people. Okay, well, why would helping people, what would that do for you? And so again, you really go through and identify. They might think helping people is they want to train them. They want to, again, it goes into so many different dimensions. So they might not know exactly what their job looks like, but they know dimensions of their job. And you then learn, like, I want to be praised. I want everyone around me to be really happy, because that's what's important to me, is I then, help someone and they were really successful. And you hear that a lot on the back end of the operations staff. They want to support and help everyone else.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be the big difference here. So if I'm an agent and I'm looking at this board for job, I'm thinking to myself, well, I want to sell at least, 50 houses a year in 3 years, right? I want to be the number one agent on the team, right? Maybe in 3 years.
Yeah. And
So
why
then,
is that important to you?
Yeah, and why? And then that's the key thing I think that people don't hear. That's the real nuance there is, well, why? What? Yeah, what would that do for your life? Why is that
Yeah.
important to you?
Yeah.
So,
What does
okay,
50, yeah, what does 50 houses do for you? You know, I think that's the big piece. You want to find out why. If it's like, because it sounds cool. Okay,
gotcha.
well, that's not really the motivation. Again, like sounding cool. Do you want them to sound cool to the world? That's not really their motivation for why they would want to sell 50 houses.
Right. And then you're saying with ops or a transaction manager or marketing director, or maybe even an ISA, it's going to be really different depending upon what role they're going to be accomplishing, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always really different, I think. And it does have to do with money. They maybe want a promotion. They maybe want to go in. You always want to see someone that wants to go and learn about the growth opportunities that are available to them, because that's someone who's going to want to continue growing your organization then if they want to growth in their personal life.
So they're saying things. You have your dry erase marker. You're writing it down on the board, and you're like, you know, and they're, yeah, I want to sell 50 houses. Okay, what does that do for you? Okay, that helps me have a big life and have freedom for my family. Excellent. Okay,
Yes.
cool. What else? And then they say blah 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 blah. So then you go, great. Do you try to keep them to 3, 4? I mean, if they're a talker, is there 50? Are you filling up that box until there's nothing left to fill, or do you just kind of try to guide them through and keep it into 3 to 5 bullet points?
Yeah, I'm trying to guide it through, and I'm more writing. I don't want to write every single word down because I want to have an engaging conversation with them. When you're writing everything, it's distracted. You're more focused on writing. So I want to write key points. So
Gotcha.
if they said I want to sell 50 houses because that means I can take my kids to Disneyland. Okay, well, I'm going to write kids to Disneyland because their
Mm.
motivation is they want to support their family by making that money. And
Okay.
that's what I'm trying to identify.
All right. Perfect. So then we go to money, and when I say money, I guess I'm looking at that and I go, well, what do you mean, Meg? What do you mean by money?
Yeah, everyone says, you mean how much I want to make?
Yeah.
And sometimes that is for an agent.
Hmm.
A lot of agents will say, absolutely, I need to make this amount of money. I want to make $1 million in a year. They can go that direct, but it also means a lot of other things. Do you want to purchase a home? If you do not purchase a home, what would that do for you? So you can kind of dive into other aspects of your life with money as well that are not necessarily how much you're getting paid.
Gotcha. And you kind of gotta not guide them, but help them a little bit of getting there, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
they're just like, what do you mean? And it's like, well, yeah, currently, right now, do you own a home? So a lot of questions is, do you own a home, right? Like you were just saying, do you want to own an investment property? And then they start
Yeah.
getting there like, oh yeah, 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 put me down for 2 investment properties and a side of debt free, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's, I think,
And
people
you
just
see
kind of go
you
ahead.
see travel come up a lot there as well. Like then it's
Hmm.
like, well, I want to then make money because I'd like to go visit my family 3 times a year who don't live here, or then I want to travel internationally once a year. So money, you then see more supports the lifestyle they want to live.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. So then we do the other 2 quadrants, health, or excuse me, travel, fitness, or whatever 2 that they pick,
Hmm.
that they want to have success. And remember that I think what you're saying here is you've got to tie them into 3 years. You're
Yes.
celebrating everything you accomplished in 3 years. What did you accomplish in these 4 boxes? So then
Yeah.
what happens after that? Do you do anything else after that piece to record this on any type
Yeah.
of way?
Yeah, so I'll then look at the board and I'll circle kind of some main words in each category. And at this point, you really can identify what motivates the person. That's the whole piece. And does that align with how you can motivate people and align with your organization? So that is a really, really big piece of, okay, are they money motivated? And then same thing if it's an operations staff, well then how can you then provide them the opportunity to make that much money? If
Yeah.
they want to travel for 6 months out of the year, okay, well then maybe that's not going to align with your business. You have to kind of figure out what motivates them. So I'll step back and circle those things and then review it with them. It really looks like you would like to have a really flexible schedule so that you can be there for every single sports games for your children. Is
Right.
that what motivates you? Is that what's important to you? Is the lifestyle?
Sure.
They then will sit there and say, yes, we'll discuss it. I then will take a picture because I want to have it documented for my board. So I'll pull my phone and say, great, for our file, we review again everything with our internal leadership department. I'll take a picture of it and say, do you have any further questions for me? Again, you will expect to hear back from me. We're working on final applicants. I will send you, if you want to move forward, I will send you a reference check form this afternoon. And once
So
I
hold
call
on.
three
So
references,
take me through the reference check form.
yeah,
So now I've done all this other things. Now I'm still not freaking hired, right? I'm still sitting
no,
there going, my
still
gosh,
not.
like what do these people want from me?
Yeah,
Or if I'm a top, if I feel like what you're telling me is if I'm a top producing type personality, I'm going, I want to probably be a part of this organization, right? Because they're so in depth on making sure that we're going to be a good fit and that I'm going to have success here. So I think some people might, if the people are getting frustrated by it, they're probably not the right people anyway, right?
exactly. And I think that's, and I always explain that. I explain from the beginning how long this process could potentially take,
Hmm.
because it is important. And we don't want to just say, cool, you're hired. You answered 3 questions, like, come
Sure,
on in.
sure.
And so, yeah, if they're amazing on the spot, I'll say, I will send you a reference check form. If I feel like I do want someone's backup opinion, maybe, or there was something a little like, I just couldn't really get, my finger on it, I'll then go back and review it with our leadership team as well, and then send them the reference check form from there. So what that is it asks for 3 references for them to provide you their name and number, their email address, and their how they know that person. And I ask for it in 3 different dimensions of their life. So a personal one, because you want that, whether it be a past client, if they're a real estate agent, or another personal reference, or sorry, professional reference, and then someone else that they've worked with as well. So someone like a manager in a previous position, or a colleague.
Gotcha.
And
So I fill out this form. Do I do that in person or is that digital?
yeah, so that's digital. So
Okay.
I will give it to them digitally. You could give it to them in person, but I want them to be able to type it in and get it to me instantly. That doesn't waste 1 single minute for them to fill it out. Makes it really simple for them.
Gotcha. Okay. So I fill that out. I go along my way. I'm sitting there
Yep.
hoping the phone rings, that I get a call back. What's happening
Yep.
behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes, I am calling all the references. So I have a reference check script. Again, would you hire that person? What do you feel like some of their qualities are? One of my favorites is what type of job do you feel this person is best for? And they've signed off on this. They know that this is coming. And the last piece is I then ask their reference if they can give me another reference for the person. And
Gotcha.
I want to get, for every reference they give me, I want to get 2 more references. So I will have then a total of 9 references for that person.
Whew. So you're gonna take the time to try to get a hold of 9 people and find out, what's so what are some of the things. So first of all, that must take an enormous amount of time.
It does, but it's
Yeah.
probably the most important piece out of the entire interview process.
Okay, because I'm sure they're going to give you the 3 people that love them, right? So it's
Absolutely.
it's
Their mom.
my mom, my buddy at my office who's going to go to bat for me. So then
Yep.
you ask the buddy from the office who used to be their supervisor at wherever, and then you're saying what you're telling me is then you ask them, hey, can you please give me one other person that I could contact to speak with that would give me some insight on whether or not Sally would be a good fit for our organization. Is that kind of
Yep.
what it sounds like?
Ex-
All right.
Exactly. That's
And
exactly
then
what it is.
what if they go, I don't know anybody?
Thank you again for thinking about it, and I appreciate your time. And then I then in turn will ask the candidate for another reference.
Another one. So, all right. So
Yeah.
no matter what, we're going to 9 different people to get a snapshot of really, right? We're trying to find out, is there any crazy in there? Right.
It's exactly what it is.
Right. That's what I hear a lot of during this process is, most of the people we're trying to identify, is there going to be a problem when they get here, right? It's
Exactly.
that
And
that's
it's the little things that they say which end up probably, looking back, that with people that have ended up not working out, which unfortunately that's a bad lesson to learn from, is there was something that was said in the reference that I didn't think was a big deal, that it then came out later, it most likely was.
yeah. Do you look back and you kick yourself and you're like, oh, that they did say that during the reference check, but
Yeah.
I still just, because I think the problem that most people have with this process of interviewing and defining talent is you naturally want to go to bat for these people, right?
Yes.
You
You get
naturally, 'cause-
attached to them.
yeah, you get attached to them, and so it almost blinds you in a lot of
It does.
ways. And that's why this process, I think, is pretty valuable from what you're explaining. So that sounds awesome. All right, so it sounds like a lot. So now behind the scenes, you've got 9 references, you've
Mhm.
got all of these things. What happens next?
So then one of the last steps, other than submitting an offer, is I social media stalk them. I want to Google them. We do the same for each person in our business. So we then Google them and just make sure that they, again, are a professional, a great representative, a person I would want representing our company. And from there, I then schedule a defense meeting, which is I gather a group of people that some are going to be on our leadership team, and some are going to be completely unrelated that can give an objective opinion. It doesn't affect them regardless what hire it is or not. And I'm going to present to them this candidate. Like, it's going to be a panel for me to talk through. They'll ask questions to me, just saying basic things. Again, that do they have previous experience? Are they positive and likable? And the qualities you want of the person.
Excellent. So then once you try to pick them apart, or not pick them apart, but just try to, again, I think like you were just saying, find any red flags.
Find any holes.
Would find any holes. Perfect. Then you make the decision to say yes. What happens next?
Yeah. So if we are there a go, I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call them and say, hey, congratulations, we'd like to move forward with you. And at that point, you've most likely talked about, a start date. If you haven't, you then would say, I'd like you to start next Monday at 9:00. We're super excited and sound really thrilled. You're genuinely excited. You've talked to this person for hours and hours now, and you're finally thrilled they're going to be a part of your
their mom
team.
At this point.
Exactly. You've talked to their mom. Yeah. So you're going to then want to bring them into the organization, and you're going to be thrilled. And I've never not had someone who's been absolutely excited as well.
Gotcha. All right. So now that all happens. So behind the scenes, how are you tracking this entire process? Because it sounds like at any given time, you could have 20, 30, 40 candidates in the process of this machine, somewhere. So where are you keeping all this information and not going crazy? Is this on a notepad, an Excel spreadsheet? What does this look like?
When it first started, it was definitely on a notepad, and there is from a scalability standpoint, that is not reasonable, because I want to track and write down everything about the person, even the little details. It's like a client, like that's what matters, is the little thing about them. And so I use a system called Recruiting Bridge, and that I add them like it's like my CRM. It's my management system, but for applicants into our organization.
Gotcha. Okay. So
track them the whole way.
Yeah, Recruiting Bridge, and for the listeners, we'll put a link to Recruiting Bridge below. If again, we're not sponsored, we could care less, but we just if you want to check them out, could you do it without it at this point?
Yes. Well, probably no. I think there are definitely some other system you could
the
use.
The answer is always yes,
but
at what
I physically
point,
could not.
Right?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we have 300 or 400 applicants for some positions, so to narrow it down to one single person out of that, it's talking to a lot of different people.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's going in Recruiting Bridge. Then, so we have that as your hiring CRM is what you were saying, right? So your database management system. Then once you hire them and now they start, is there any other software systems that you're using to do anything else?
Yeah, so once I verbally give them the offer, I then will send them a written offer letter as well. If it's an agent, it will also have their compensation agreement. So again, they're signing off on that document you've already given them, saying, here's what I'll be getting paid. And then their standards. It's a document about, I call it the results inherent in the position. So what they're going to use to be successful. And I will send that over to them and have them, again, e-sign it, make it really, really easy for them. They don't need to print it. It just is really a simple click. And people do it within minutes. They're really, really thrilled. And from there, I use a system called Trello, and I have all these checklists built into this system to then start their onboarding process and getting them into every system.
If you had to explain what Trello is to a 5-year-old, which is me, right? So what is Trello? So Recruiting Bridge is a CRM for, I guess, putting people in, going through the interview process, tracking, the notes, the conversations. If you say, hey, I'm going to follow up with them in X amount of days, you do that. So now Trello does what for you?
Trello is kind of it's basically like an online like to do, I guess,
like a workflow management.
Yeah, workflow management, exactly.
Okay.
Like I can build in checklists, and I can build in our, entire process. So I have everything down to what their welcome gift looks like when they start with our company in there. So not one single tiny blip of it can get missed, because I don't
Well,
want for anything to happen.
that's a nice thing you said too. So welcome gift. So it's my first day. I come in. I'm getting some sort of swag bag, or what does this look like?
Yeah. Yeah. So we want to make it fun and exciting. They get a really nice notebook with our company like logo on it. They get a water bottle, a coffee cup, things that they can put at their desk. For an agent, this sounds stupid. Highlighters are a hot commodity for our listing presentations. I give highlighters in it because they're always a thing missing from the desk. So
Yeah, I think
simple
for
things,
our
even down to like
listeners,
chocolate.
yeah, I think for a lot of the listeners, they don't realize how important that first day is, right?
Yeah,
It literally is. I mean, out of all the days, it's the most important day for that
it
person,
is.
and they're going to decide the buy-in level. And buy-in meaning, do I want to be a part of this place or not? Or are the people here cool? And it's first day of school. They're terrified, right? They're terrified. So,
Exactly.
is there anything else that you guys do on that first day that eases the anxiety?
Yeah, we really go back to basics. Again, if you know something personal, like they like Coors Light, okay, maybe you get them like a Coors Light can on their desk. Again, something that's nice and personal. You
Sure.
want them to feel welcome, because that's, again, sets the precedence for what their experience is going to be like. And
Gotcha.
I think go back to basics, go back to you starting in a new school or a middle school. You show up and you have no idea who you're going to eat lunch with the first day. So we try to either bring in lunch or a sandwich, or we'll go take them to lunch if they're new to the area, or just to get out of the office. And we'll do that with other people in the organizations, that they can start to build personal relationships too. And that's just a tiny little touch. I mean, if you order in sandwiches from Jimmy John's, it's $30 and you can feed 10 people.
Sure.
And it just makes them feel like they have an attachment to your organization and the people there.
I love it. I love it. And then, so now I'm tracking this workflow of most people would call it onboarding, right? So you're
Onboarding.
onboarding this person into your organization, utilizing Trello with built-in checklists to make sure that the training process happens. Because there's a lot of moving pieces, right?
A
I
lot of
mean,
moving
I mean, if
pieces.
you're an agent, there's a cajillion things you need to learn to
Hmm.
become your way. And I would assume there's a million things they need to learn if they're a transaction manager, a marketing person, an ISA. So that's all handled in Trello.
That is all
Okay.
handled in Trello.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. So excellent. Then taking a look at it. So now we've got them in Trello. We've got them rocking and rolling on onboarding. So that's awesome. So hiring in itself, a ton there. Then from that step, um, they go through how do we train these people?
Yeah, so training is, again, it's a whole other beast of its own, and that is what's going to make you most success. That's what's going to make them most successful in your organization. So we have an 100-day checklist is what we call it, and it is their training schedule planned out for 100 days. It goes down to, we have their schedule built for their first few weeks that they're here, from whether they can shadow a buyer or listing appointment. I want even our operations to know exactly what the agents are going through, so
Right.
that they can best provide service to them. Because if they don't know how the agent's negotiating an inspection objection, well, how could they know how the client feels going through that process? So we want to break it down into every little aspect, including each system they have to learn. And we try to build as many training videos as possible for them to always be able to go reference back in the event that they feel confused, or like they want more resources. So to make it be able to be self-paced too.
So what would regardless of I'm new, is there a certification process? Is there a checklist? If I'm the agent, how do I know where I'm at and what I still need to be working on?
Yeah, so we use some of the Keller Williams tools, like a 30, 60, and a 90. So breaking it down into your 30-day goals, your 60-day goals, and then your 90-day goals.
Okay.
And we do have certification. So we have a listing and a buyer certification where they are learning that process, and then they're testing out on it. So showing that they do know what our system is for going on a buyer consultation or going on a listing appointment, down to they know how to create a packet that seems simple, But that is exactly what our process is to take with them on a listing appointment.
Yeah. And I think the big takeaway that I heard too is it's just videos, right? Like if you
Yeah.
can record a lot of these trainings, it's going to save you a ton of time. So whether you're hiring your first executive assistant, document the process of what you're teaching, because you're probably going to need another one at some point in the future, or two, or adding three or four, depending on how large your business is growing. But you want to document those things. And now, Meg, am I getting a manual, or what am I getting on the first day? So I get my swag bag, I get to go to lunch, I'm getting put into these systems. What else do I get?
Yeah, we have a manual for every single position, and that is probably the most valuable piece. And that has everything in our business. So our scripts, our awards, whatever it may be, and it's detailed down. It's literally in a folder with dividers in there.
And when you say
Every single
awards, I don't
process.
think people probably really understand what you mean.
Yes,
You're
sorry, I can elaborate
talking,
on that
yeah,
one.
you're talking about the award process.
Yeah,
So, okay,
yeah.
talk to me a little bit about that, because that sounds interesting.
Yeah, we have an internal award system. I should have clarified that. Where, as coming in as an agent, there are different levels that you can hit by the amount of production, so by your units or your volume. And with that, we do a really, really fun, like, monogram slippers that are different colored per whatever level you're on.
Wait,
And
wait,
so
wait,
it's
wait,
just a
wait. So
fun way.
monogrammed slippers.
Monogram
So
slippers.
so I hit a certain production level in 2020. What does that look like?
Yeah, you would hit a certain production level in 2020. And at the end of the year, we do an internal award ceremony, and you would get a glass award congratulating you, and a pair of colored slippers.
Why colored? Because that sounds odd. They're
That does
different.
sound odd.
They're different colors?
They're all different colors
Okay.
depending on what level you're hitting. So there are 5 levels, and each level has a different correlation of slippers. So if you're, walking around the office, you can then know what other agent, what production level that they hit the year prior,
So
and
it's kind of like
everyone wears them
like a
so
badge of honor.
proudly.
Yeah, it's like a badge of honor,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
That is pretty
Exactly.
hilarious. Okay. So I get
Yep.
monogrammed slippers based on color, based upon the award level that I had success at.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Okay. All right. So then in the manual, it's got, you were saying, scripts, objection handlers, all basically, yeah, a how-to guide to survive, right? To
Yeah.
thrive, probably would be the better
It
way to say
does.
it. Okay,
It
perfect.
has our buyer presentations. It has a listing presentation. It has what their checklist is. It has, their targets and their goals, and tracking sheets. So it has everything they could possibly need.
Talk to me about meeting structure, and for your team, what does, yeah, the regiment look like? So every morning, do you guys do a certain thing? What is a weekly, if I'm going, hey, I want to hire my first person, or I want to start to leverage, or I want to, even find my first director of operations, right, or whatever it is. What is that?
Yeah.
I call it meeting cadence, right? So what is that synergy look like for your team on a day by day, week by week basis?
And I think that's so important, is those meetings, and touching base with people. We do a daily lineup, is what we'll call it. And it is a way to start the day.
So what
And
time is that?
we do that at 9 a.m. on the
Okay.
dot,
Okay. Every
Monday to
morning at 9
Friday.
a.m. So daily lineup or daily huddle. And how long is that?
Yes, that's about 15 minutes. And we try
Okay.
to never go over that, because we
Okay.
don't want to, again, get into people's lead generation time, and want to also make it as impactful as possible in that short amount of time.
Gotcha. And what are we talking about during that meeting?
Yeah. So what we go over is we go over what they're grateful for that day.
Okay.
Started on something really positive note. We then
Okay.
go into what their grit is for the day. So what has to get done that day, and then what their goal is. So what their big goal is they would like to accomplish for that day.
Gotcha. So gratitude, grit, and goal, or
Yeah.
gratitude, goal, and grit, or
Yep.
grit, gratitude, and goal, whatever it is. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Excellent. So the three G's. Okay, I like the three G's.
Three
Okay,
G's.
so then what
We,
happens
yeah. We,
during the? Is there anything else that happens during the day?
Yeah, so we do role play daily. Role
Okay.
play meaning they're practicing their scripts and their objections
And
every single day from 12 to 12:30.
from 12 to 12:30, and how is that structured? Is that live? Is that, do they pair off into groups? What does that look like?
Yeah, so during right now it's all via Zoom. It's live time right there, and it goes through a number of different topics throughout that process as well. So
Gotcha.
every day is a different topic.
Very cool. Okay, perfect. Then what other meetings throughout the week, or what else do I have to, or what else is your responsibility to kind of make sure is all coming together?
Yeah, we also do a 5 p.m. kind of end of day wrap up. We're really kind of going over, well, did they accomplish their goal? That's massive. And we'll go kind of just an end day recap.
Okay, so
15
end
minutes
of day.
again, 5
So
to
we have a
5:15.
9 a.m. huddle, 12 o'clock live role play, 5 p.m. end of day wrap up.
Yep.
Then any other things throughout the week?
Yeah, we have a weekly team meeting on Wednesdays for an hour at 8:30 in the morning via
Okay.
Zoom. Without COVID, it's in person. Every single person on our team is expected to be there because it's where we go over the barter group, everything we have to offer.
Yeah. So, and how I think where people get struggle with meetings, and I've seen this quite a bit, is they don't know what to really go over. So, is there? Give me some highlights. Is there kind of a format that you follow for having an effective? And when I say team, this could be right. I mean, this could be you and your assistant, right? This could be,
Absolutely.
in fact, it should be, whoever it is. When you say team, it
Hmm.
could be you and if you're a husband and wife team, you and your husband or your wife or whatever it might be. So what should that, or what have you learned over the course of time with the cadence of those meetings that's worked well, and maybe some things that didn't work well? So what is it? What are some, I guess, takeaways that maybe our listeners could put into their team meeting?
I think having an agenda or a structure is the most important. We've tried kind of running it without it, making it open forum, which is great. We want everyone's feedback, but without having those without having it planned out and really strategic, that was probably not the most successful. Or having an agenda to go over, and now we may go over very different topics, but it's always following kind of the same system. So we start with shout outs. So we want to give positivity to start the meeting and really get that energy up, and the participation of everyone. We want it's little. You either can give it to yourself because you did something great, or give it to someone else saying, thank you, you helped me out. You really went above and beyond here. I can tell how much effort you've been putting into it recently. And it comes from the entire team. So it's not coming just from leadership saying you guys are all amazing.
Right.
It comes from, again, it's like peer to peer.
Yeah,
And
it sounds like what I'm hearing is there's just a lot of mindset stuff here.
a lot of mindset
A lot
stuff.
of mindset.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just trying to keep that positivity flowing. So give me one other thing that you guys do, or give me even a quirky thing that you kind of do fun in the team meetings, or anything that you think the listeners would find useful. So give me one other thing.
We do a book club every time. So we read a different book. It comes from a lot of we've read every single type of book, and that's just really fun. And we talk about it, we recap it, and it's not they're more mindset books than they are like, okay, you're here learning what a contract is. It makes it fun, and everyone's openly discussed it. So I just think that's a really, really great, again, positive mindset to have, and to get everyone involved.
Gotcha. What book are you guys on now?
We're reading Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
Gotcha. So David Goggins, the man that can sustain anything. It seems like that guy's an animal. So
It
yeah,
is.
if you
It's a
haven't,
really, really great one.
yeah, if you haven't checked out David Goggins, just Google it. And if you want to get motivated and hyped up, that guy will get you there real quick. So okay, so
We've liked
excellent.
that one a lot.
So book club, you've got the shout outs, and then I'm sure in there, one of the other things I think you were telling me about is how how are you keeping everybody aligned on their goals?
Yeah, so we do we report their numbers, their tracking. We call it the 7 commitments. So we go through every week what their contacts are, how many appointments that they set, how many appointments that they held, what volume they've closed, and
So
and
how if
really talk through their
how if I'm
numbers.
the agent, so you're tracking my 7 commitments. And so talk time, contacts, appointments held. So there's different categories, right? So this could be
Yeah,
different for every. I know other teams that do four, right? The
exactly.
four conversations. We know people that do five commitments. I think the listeners need to know that they can customize it to their needs. Or I've heard a lot of people customizing it in different ways.
Yeah.
So how then, if I'm the agent, would I even have any freaking clue of what my numbers were, because it's now a Wednesday meeting and I haven't, how am I tracking that daily?
Yeah, so we use a system called CTE, and they are going in. It's an online website, basically an online spreadsheet that's held, and they go in and they fill out basically an online form every single day at the end of the day to accurately record their numbers. And if you like data, this tells you every single ounce of data about your business, and they then can go in and easily access these numbers from a daily, a weekly, a monthly, and an annual basis.
That's amazing. So yeah, also for all
Yeah,
the listeners, we'll put that CTE link in the description below so you can check it out. But
yeah,
most of the top agents across the country utilize it to do that. So, but we know, Meg, that in this industry, unfortunately, people sometimes don't want to track their numbers daily. So in your organization, if
yeah.
they don't report their numbers, or maybe let me phrase this a different way, how do you get them to do it?
Yeah, so we talk about it a lot, and I think it's showing them what value they can get by reporting their numbers. So, I mean, this can track honestly how much money you make per contact that you have with someone. So it can adapt to every single person. And so I think that's most important, is providing what value that they get from reporting their numbers, because it's the hardest part. Sometimes you have to
Sure.
be brutally honest and you're putting zeros because you went skiing for the day. That's the honest part of it. And we do allow people to submit them on a weekly basis by Monday at 10 a.m. So we can have the entire week's recap if the daily one is more challenging. It's
I
a
love
lot
it.
more accurate, but that's something that's we definitely allow them to do.
I love it. Okay. So CTE is they're doing for data tracking. Then during the team meeting, they publicly report their 7 commitments. And I'm assuming with the COVID situation right now, that's via Zoom.
Yes, it's via
Okay.
Zoom, and
So
and
so
we put that
you're
into a
how
spreadsheet.
into a spreadsheet. Okay. So
Yeah.
they're sitting there. Do people ever get kind of uncomfortable? They're like, man, I don't want people knowing what my business is and this and that, or is it pretty motivating?
It's honestly pretty motivating. I think what we talk about it, but it's not coming from, we're not ever scolding anyone like, you didn't do this. It's coming from a standpoint of like, how can we make this better? And the coolest thing that we've done is asking the other agents how they feel the other person could improve their business or what they could do better looking at it. And that's been just the most unique. It's not top down. It's really like peer to peer and encouraging each other to hit their goals.
And so well, right there is a piece that I said, and so you said their goals. So is the seven
Their goal.
commitments the goals that I'm putting down that I need them to hit for my results, or how do you
Yeah.
determine what their 7 commitments are?
And that's a great question. I think that is something that when they first join the company, we're doing that business alignment with them. We're sitting down and establishing again their goals. Us putting what we want their goals to be, they're never going to hit them. That's not motivating. So we break down what their goals are as an agent.
Wow. So that's a lot of moving pieces, huh? A
It is.
lot of things happening. Then, so all right. So we've got team meeting. We've got morning huddle every weekday, live role play for a half hour. Every end of day, there's end of day huddle. Team meeting
Mhm.
Wednesdays at 8:30. What else is for the overall team on the schedule?
Yeah, last and certainly not least is we do an advanced coaching every single Wednesday. So Wednesdays are learning day. So when you're
Okay.
diving into your business and working on your business, and your advanced coaching, it goes over the nitty gritty of our business and how to have better listing conversion and appointments, how to have conversations with the sellers or buyers, whatever it may be. So we go through that for an hour every Wednesday. Everyone again via Zoom, and go through a variety of different topics.
Gotcha. And then how are you keeping the synergy with the operations team? Are you doing, so now I've hired, let's say, a transaction manager.
Hmm.
I obviously have my 30, 60, 90. Is there some sort of review process? Are you meeting with them once a year? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we also, same thing, operations does a daily call as well to get to know what are our three goals focused on. Is it reviews that day? Are we getting referrals? What's that process look like? And then we do weekly one-on-ones. So have a meeting to discuss what their goals are and where we can improve on with our business. And we want open feedback back to us as well as what we're doing well, what's not going well, what could be, done better. And that means for us as an organization too.
Gotcha.
We also then do quarterly and annual reviews as well.
Quarterly and annual reviews. Okay. And then is there any type of other meetings for leadership in the organization? What does that look like? Is there any other sessions, or what's the other regiment that should be happening?
Yeah, we do leadership meetings as well once a week, and are really discussing what the big items that we need to accomplish, and really dive into our business and what needs to happen to make it a
Gotcha.
better place and to always improve.
Gotcha. And then anything else besides that?
Yeah, we have our top producers and our longest agents. We also meet with them as well on a bi-monthly basis and discuss things that we could do better as an organization. What do they need? Different support from the transaction coordinators are. What else we can do to help make their business better and help them hit their goals.
Yeah, because I think that's a big piece, right? Is you've got the more feedback and communication, the better that this whole thing runs. So, well,
Yeah,
excellent. Well, then taking a look at that. So we talked about recruiting and hiring. So it sounds like a lot of your role as director of operations is people, right? I mean, at the end of the
people.
day, yeah, that is, and I would imagine takes a lot of the energy. So how, I'm sure people are out there, and especially newer administrative staff, new people that are doing it. And also, well, I'll ask a two-part question here. So number one is, how do you schedule all of this, and how do you keep from going crazy?
I love that question. I think really holding myself to a strict time block. I have done when I first started, I couldn't have even told you what my job was. And I was running around. I love tasky items, my favorite thing to do. But that's also not what my job is to do. So I stick to a very, very strict time block, and that has helped me substantially. So I do time block all of these times in. And that is part of it, is walking around and just talking to people. Like it's so easy to have your door shut and just really want to be focused. And there are times in my schedule I allow for that too. But you also are in the business of dealing with people, and you do have to fit them into your time as well. So I have a really, really strict time block that I stick to, and it's really changed honestly my entire life by sticking to
Gotcha.
that.
Gotcha. So time blocking, keeping it scheduled. With the interviewing, the recruiting, do you do that in the morning, in the afternoon? Do you try to block it as, hey, I'm doing operational things in the morning, I'm going to do recruiting and retention and hiring in the afternoon, or vice versa? Or
Yeah.
is there any tips out there for people that are going, well, like, how do I do all this? Right?
Yeah. I time block two different ones. So phone interviews being, again, that's my first way that I'm narrowing people down. So I do in my mind like to keep phone interviews and in person and via Zoom interviews very, very separate. And so that's really important to me. So I put them at different times. Like I will basically rotate days, because I want to offer, some people maybe have a job and they can only get out during lunch, or they can't really take time. So I will be then flexible in my schedule. But I allow those on different days. So Monday morning, as you're coming back, maybe you have emails, you're handling emergencies. Like we do a big touch base with our operations on that day. So
Okay.
my morning is really built that morning for, I'm going through new applicants that came in over the weekend. I am looking at people who maybe completed the Keller personality assessment. So those are really, really important to me on Monday. And I will offer an interview time both in the afternoon and then on the morning, depending on what day it is.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's pretty structured there. And then the other question I think that I get a lot is from agents that are looking to find their first director of operations, executive assistant, empire builder. That first key person. I feel like what I get a lot of questions on is that they struggle to kind of build that day-to-day relationship with the either rainmaker or business owner or
Yeah.
lead agent, owner of the company, right? So how
Mhm.
how have you managed to keep that relationship and balance with the daily chaos? What's the secret sauce to a lasting, because you've been now almost in the role almost 6 years. So how
Yeah.
what's this what makes it work? What makes it last? Right? How do you keep the fire alive? Or no,
Yeah,
how
it's a
yeah.
marriage. Yeah.
Yeah. How because it's not all peaches and cream, right? So how do you what do you think's been successful to keep that relationship strong?
I think a lot of running a business, and you're literally, it's a partnership in that. And I think the biggest piece is having that trust. Like, you can't have someone who's in that position that you don't trust, and vice versa. You have to trust the person that you're working for. And I think just being able to build that from the consistency. I mean, I started by learning everything about the business and how it was run, which is a lot, and then breaking it down into sections. I think there's always clear goals that are reviewed and discussed about, and you got to be able to like have a little fun with it. Like, I think there's not a day I don't come to work that I'm ever like, ugh, I have to work today. I think it's so fun. I'm so passionate about what I do, the people I work with. Like, I genuinely like love what I do. And so you can have fun with it too. Even stressful situations, you got to see like the funny side in it sometimes. And if you can't, you're right. Real estate can eat you alive. But I think that's the best part about it. A lot of people don't have the fun and engaging and different opportunities every single day. That's what I like the most. The bigger the challenge, honestly, the more fun and the more I'm going to have with that.
Right.
I think being super honest and super open are key pieces with that person as well. And I mean, I know everything about the entire business. I mean,
Right.
I joke social security numbers, phone numbers. I'm like, I could impersonate, but I also, that's the trust that you have to have with that person, because
Yeah.
it's really hard to have them help run a business with you if you don't have that internal trust.
Yeah, and it sounds like, and I know we're running down on the last minutes here, and we will definitely have you back, because I think we're barely even scratching the surface on so many different topics, and we could go on and on. But I wanted to end it with culture. So when we say,
Yeah.
you hear that, oh, culture, everybody says this in their business or whatever it is, right? So culture. So talk to me a little bit about what that word means for your organization, and how do you keep it alive?
Yeah, that I will say is, you'll laugh. You'll hear me talk about it in every single phone interview. Everyone here will probably joke about it, that it's all I talk about. And that's not in a cliche way. I genuinely, it's the most important thing to me, because I love every person that works for us. That's not to sound corny, but we do a lot of different things to kind of, again, keep it fun. We all work so hard. Every person does. If you're an agent, I understand how much is going into your everyday and your weekends and so we try to do a lot. We will do employee ski days. We did a hilarious scavenger hunt and broke the team up into competitions. We get awkwardly competitive. We love kickball and ping pong tournaments. And again, take the operations staff out to lunch. Go and get to know your agents. And that's really the most important piece. And everyone, I think, feels that here. Like, there is, although the very, very professional relationships here, we also then have all very unique personal relationships outside of it. I know everyone's significant others. That's really important. We have in Trello, I'll bring coffee to people in the morning. I will go in, someone got engaged. I want to go get them champagne and to celebrate that. Like, it's generally really important to get to know people and to do fun things together as a culture.
Yeah, it sounds like you come from a place of just service, right? Like
Exactly.
you look at the staff as your clients, and I think that's what creates culture. So recently, you guys were just awarded with a new accolade. So speaking to that, so talk to me
Yeah.
about that a little bit.
I will say it's my proudest accomplishment, so I'll brag a little bit about it. But we were just awarded the best places to work with the Denver Business Journal, and
That's
that is an
excellent.
award that's, yeah, really exciting. That's voted on by the people in our organization, so
Yeah, because
our
that's almost
employees who
that's
work with us.
almost so yeah, Denver Business Journal best places to work. So that's almost even probably better than, hey, we sold a bunch of houses, right? Like it's like
Yeah,
cool, selling houses is great, but if you have to come and show up someplace that sucks every day, I'm sure that's not really going to inspire very many people to want to do anything.
exactly. We have
Um,
fun while we sell all the houses. So
right.
that's, and
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 then
it's
and
great.
then
It's to be voted on by, by the people in the organization. That's probably the most important part, and what we really strive to do here.
yeah, and then the last thing is so with that culture, then I know you guys do a lot for the community.
Yes.
Take me through some of your passions, your involvement in it, and what does that look like for the organization?
Yeah, I can't even believe I didn't mention our community involvement to start with our culture, because that is probably our main piece. But we're really actively involved with the Third Way Center, and that is a local organization here that helps disadvantaged youth. And so, from every single sale, or home sale, or home purchase, we donate a portion of our proceeds to go to the Third Way Center.
That's
And in
excellent. Wow.
addition, we are, yeah, really actively just involved in their community, and we do shop nights for them. We go to all of their fundraisers, and really actively promote the entire organization.
Yeah, because I know you were telling me earlier that almost to the point where it's not to say it's a requirement that somebody on the team is involved in, and not that specific charity, but charity as a
Mhm.
whole, right? Like it's
Yeah,
almost an
it's really important to us.
understood piece that you were saying that if they're not involved in a charitable organization in some form or fashion, there's a problem, right?
Yeah, I just don't think they'd be then a probably happy fit here. That's something that it's, one of our core values, and it's really, really important, is giving back. And you're right. If Third Way Center, they have, I mean, people are involved with local food pantries, or we always want to support their charities as well, and have done multiple things every year to help support that and get involved in any way with our local community. It's really important to us.
Well, that's awesome. Well, then in closing, anything else that you'd want to tell an aspiring director of operations, a owner that's looking for a director of operations, or just anything else you'd like anyone else to know about the role in your journey?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest lessons I've taken away recently, and we can laugh about this phrase, is just inspect what you expect. So really know your business, know where you want to go, know your goals, and then know actually what's happening behind the scenes. You can let things go or think the customer service is amazing, but you're not asking your customers what the process is like, then you may actually don't really know. So that's been just a huge lesson I've learned over the years. And it's a people business. So yeah, like really actively engage with who's in it, and work on building those relationships. It's really, really important.
That's excellent. So inspect what you expect. So, and then Meg, for people to, get more information about this world, I think you've said to me before that there's a kind of sub community out there. Where can people? Is there a Facebook page that I can go and find other? A support group for because
Yeah,
because because it's a lot of stuff. I mean, you're dealing
it
with
is.
the insanity on all fronts every single day. And so, is there where can I go if I want to try to find more information about how to get better at this role or get into this role?
Yeah, anyone can always reach out to me directly. I think it's amazing. I love just masterminding and talking to other people, and helping. It's been, I have learned so much from other organizations who have, and other director of operations who have given me advice. There are so many different Facebook groups. Like there's an executive assistant mastermind through Keller Williams. There is so many different ones. So I'm always happy to direct people if they want to reach out to me, because there is just a lot of opportunities and a lot of internal support that yeah, you probably wouldn't know about it. I had no idea until someone had directed me that way. And it has changed my world, the questions you can ask. And everyone is so cohesive in wanting to help.
That's fantastic. So yeah, so we'll put that in the ways to connect with Meg
Yeah.
below. And so, well, Meg, thank you so much. Everyone, Meg Everett from the Bardic Group at Keller Williams, Director of Operations for a team of almost 20 that did over 300 plus home sales last year. Best place to work. A lot of great things that she's helped create over the last 6 years. So Meg, I know the one thing that we had talked about earlier too is right now you are looking for another amazing transaction manager, correct? So you've
Yeah.
given so much to everybody. So everyone that's listening out there, if you have a candidate for the transaction manager role, please reach out to Meg that is in the Denver metro area. I'm sure, make sure that what you heard, what we just said is that they're amazing, of course, right? You might want to make sure
Yep.
that they're amazing. And of course, I'm sure, Meg, the other way to help you out is if there's any agents out there that are looking or interested in possibly seeing if this might be a good fit for them, they can also reach out to you to start that interview process, the matching process, so you guys can help her out with what she's doing. So
I would love that.
again, yeah. So thank you. Can't thank you enough. I think you gave so many people so many amazing nuggets here that they can take today and implement. Just recapping, again, recruiting bridge to keep all this organized, Trello to make sure that the entire business behind the scenes operates with onboarding and checklist and all of that fun stuff. CTE, right, for your reporting. So agents daily, even for if yourself, you're doing those kind of things daily. And that was just probably scratching the surface, right? Maybe we probably didn't even get into 5 to 10 different systems and leverage things. And we could talk about, and I want to have you back on because I'm looking behind you there and I'm seeing your vision boards up there. And I know, we could spend
Yep.
a entire section, just our entire episode, just talking about how goal oriented you are and how you stay so positive and all that fun stuff. But unfortunately, this is all the time we have for today. So again, thank you so much for all the listeners. We are going to be having these amazing interviews week after week. So join us for the next episode. Reach out, share the comments, leave us a comment. Tell us if there's any questions you have that you would like to know more about. If there's something specific about the director of operations role, hiring, firing, we didn't even get into all that, right? All of the nitty gritty stuff. What is it that is
Yep.
a pain point in your business right now that you would like to have somebody on that we could speak with that would help you in your business? So like it, share it, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you're getting the notifications every single time we put out videos, besides the podcast, besides the YouTube channel. So again, it's Brendan Bardic coaching YouTube channel. Real Talk is the podcast that you're listening to right now. And so many other training videos, subjects, everything on there to help take you to the next level so you can become an elite real estate agent. So as always, thank you guys for listening in, and I wish you great success.